Hello, farm lovers, agri lovers, and agripreneurs. Welcome back to your favorite agriculture and agribusiness YouTube channel, your number one oil palm farming YouTube channel. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing something very, very important and vital in oil palm farming. There's something we call intercropping and cover cropping in oil palm farming, particularly among those who newly established their farm or people who are newly planning to establish their farm this year. So the term intercropping is a situation whereby people want to use the interrow spacing of their oil palm plantation to grow some other crops while they are still waiting for the oil palm tree to start fruiting. As we all know it, the oil palm tree will take about 3 years before it will start giving you anything. So we usually encourage smallholder farmers particularly to practice a system called intercropping, where you'll be able to use the empty row interrow spacing in your land, because oil palm actually have a wide spacing. You engage those interrow spacing and use it to farm some short-term crop, and you'll be gaining some income for yourself before your oil palm starts fruiting. Now, before we go into this, we should all bear this at the back of your mind that intercropping or cover cropping have principles that is guiding it. And one of the things we are going to be talking about today is the do's and the don'ts of intercropping. So if you want to do intercropping, you want to intercrop your oil palm farm, it is actually a good practice, particularly among smallholder farmers who cannot fold their arms and wait and be spending money every year while getting nothing in return. They want to engage the land to be bringing some kind of income for themselves. So, but while doing that, you must follow the principle guiding it. So on today's episode, I'm going to be highlighting and explaining to us the do's and don'ts that is guiding intercropping in oil palm farming. Now, the first thing you should bear at the back of your mind that you should never do is to intercrop your oil palm with another tree crop. Now, what I'm trying to say in essence is that you already established your oil palm farm. So, in the spirit of you trying to practice intercropping, some people can advise you that you should go and put cocoa on that same land. You should go and put cashew on that same land. You should go and put uh, coconut on that same land, which is very, very, very wrong. Don't use any other tree crop on your oil palm farm, because if you do that, it will bring about competition in terms of shading. And shading is what oil palm doesn't like at all. It is detrimental and it is counterproductive to the development and the growth of oil palm. So you don't want to introduce another tree crop on your farm. The minimum you can do, and it is not a permanent tree crop like that, the minimum you can do is to introduce plantain in a scanty, very, very wide spaces, in a scanty manner around your oil palm farming. But you bring in a permanent crop, a tree crop, and you want to use it as an intercrop, is a very, very wrong move. Don't do it. So the second don't you don't want to do, you must not do, is to overcrowd your oil palm farm. In the spirit or with the intention that you want to intercrop, don't fall into the pit of overcrowding your farm. You now end up jam packing the whole space, and your oil palm, which is your primary crop, end up being choked. So you should never do that. Don't overcrowd, and always give a spacing, a breathing space of at least 1 meter around your oil palm farm. You can then use the whole other space for your intercropping. The third thing you should not do is to use excessive chemical. Now, whenever you are doing intercropping, it is expected that you are going to be using some chemicals to control weed on your farm, because you are growing some crop, you'll be needing herbicide, pesticide. So you must be very, very vigilant so as not to use excess chemicals that will end up affecting your primary crop, which is your oil palm crop. And lastly but not the least, among the don'ts is that avoid pest and disease prone crops. There are crops that are known to harbor pests and diseases. You want to avoid this kind of crop. Because at the end of the day, if you bring this kind of crop into your plantation, as the example of them is tomato. Tomato have this habit of abhorring pests, or is very, very prone to pests and diseases. So you want to avoid crops that have too much pests and diseases, so that you don't end up bringing pests, inviting pests and disease on your farm. So these are the don'ts you must observe whenever you are doing intercropping in your oil palm plantation. Now, these are the do's. The number one thing I want to advise people that want to do intercropping is that in the first 2 years of your plantation, we don't advise you to plant cereals or tuber crop. It is advisable that you make use of leguminous crops only in the first 2 years. Now, the essence of this is that when you are planting leguminous crop, it will not in any way compete with your oil palm for shade at all. So, and leguminous crop also have the opportunity to enrich your soil with nitrogen and also help you to conserve water and help you to suppress weed. So you want to make sure you use leguminous crop in the first 2 years of your plantation. After the first 2 years, you can bring in your maize, you can bring in your cassava or any other food crop you want. The second thing you want to put into practice is what we call crop rotation. Crop rotation will help you to maintain a farm that will not be ridden with pests and diseases, because you don't want a situation whereby you are just intercropping your oil palm with a particular crop, and at the end of the day you will be able to, you will find out that you are depleting a particular nutrient on that soil, and you are introducing a particular pest on that soil, so which will make your farm to be very, very prone to that kind of pest. So we advise you to intercrop, to rotate crop. Maybe this year you plant cassava, the second year you plant maize. Just intercrop different variety and different family of crop. This is to ensure that you are breaking the cycle of pests and diseases on your farm. Now, the third thing you want to put in your practice is to follow proper spacing. Now, the issue of proper spacing is not only with the crop you want to use as an intercrop. Make sure you are not overcrowding, as I've earlier said in the don'ts, and make sure you leave at least 1 meter around. Leave this wide gap around your oil palm farm to avoid any form of competition for shade, for sun, and for nutrients. And lastly but not the least, don't forget to apply fertilizer, especially when you are doing intercropping. Don't forget that any crop you are planting on the soil, they are taking nutrients away. So if you are meant to be applying 100 grams of fertilizer to your farm in a situation whereby you are not intercropping, now that you are intercropping, you have to increase that fertilizer a little bit to make up for the nutrients your intercrop will be taken away from your soil. So make sure you apply fertilizer so that your oil palm, which is your primary crop, will not suffer for the nutrients your intercrop are taking away from the soil. And lastly but not the least, make sure you are always scouting for disease, for pests, for any form of danger on your farm. Once in a while, take a stroll around your farm, check how your farms are doing, and also inculcate what we call integrated pest management. Everything is not fertilizer. With this, I've come to the end of today's video, and I hope you must have gotten one value from this video, one way or the other. If you actually got value from this video, kindly give it a like, share with your friends, so that they can also benefit from this kind of information. Thank you for your time, and see you on the next one. Sheshe.